This is the Osmo Plus. We're shooting on the Osmo Plus today. I haven't used this camera in a super duper long time. I'll go over all the specs of the camera in a minute. Right now I'm shooting in auto because it's too bright out for, I don't have any NDs for this. So if I'm trying to shoot, 1/50 shutter, then it's all blown out. So I gotta shoot in auto. So I'm using the Rode Wireless Go 2 for the audio. So if you haven't watched my last video, I talked a little bit about how we had a tornado here the other week, a couple weeks ago. But yeah, we had a tornado run through. It got really hot. I say hot. It got up to like 72 degrees, and then the weather went straight from 70 all the way down to like 20 something in a matter of like 12 hours. And we ended up getting a tornado and wiped out a whole bunch of stuff here at the house, including our chicken coop. Sent our chicken coop like 40 yards. I said 40 yards. I don't know, honestly. It was quite a long ways. But so we had to get him a new chicken coop. So I'm just gonna take you all around the property today. We're gonna talk about this camera that I've had for like a decade. Oh crap, I've lost you. Oh no, where? Oh no, come on, there we go. So I'm gonna talk about the camera, the Osmo Plus, since I had spent so long since I've used it. I thought it'd be kind of a cool little camera to do a video on. So yeah, first things first, here's the chickens. They all survived. So this camera, for those of you who don't know, the Osmo Plus, if you're familiar with like the Osmo Pocket, they released these larger Osmo cameras well before they had the Osmo Pocket. They're loaded with a lot of cool specs. This one's got the same camera, same camera and sensor and everything that the Inspire 1 series had. Which was a pretty high-end drone. They use those for shooting like car chases and stuff in movies. They can fly up to like 60 miles an hour. They get a decent image. And that's the reason why I think they put it on here. They also made the top side of the camera modular, I guess, to where you could just, if you wanted to upgrade to like a different Zen Muse camera, so one of the higher end ones with a better sensor, then you could just take this top part of this Osmo Plus off, and then you could swap it with a better camera. So that was kind of cool. This is their new coop. So anyway, these guys literally got tossed by the tornado. 3 of these guys were out in the chicken run, and then 2 of them were actually in the coop, and I'll show you. The coop, if I can show you guys over here, zoom in. The coop is right there. That's the coop right there. That's all that's left of it. It's just a big old heap. So, yeah, kind of got destroyed. Like I said, 2 of these guys were actually in the coop. Oh no, lost balance. There it goes. Those 2 orange guys right there, those Orpingtons, they were inside the coop. The other 3 were out in the chicken run. So I don't know exactly how they all survived, but none of them were even injured or anything, and they took a ride that night. So pretty crazy stuff. So talking about the camera, just the general specs here, I'm gonna flip through this. So one of the reasons why this camera got annoying for me to use was the fact that you have to have something, just like every other DJI product, you gotta have some sort of monitoring system, right? You gotta have an iPad, or you gotta have a phone, or whatever you need. Not to mention, this is a weird angle. Come on, this is a weird angle. Is that better? Okay, there we go. So you gotta have a phone, you gotta have an iPad, you gotta have something to be able to see the image on this camera, because it doesn't have a screen, obviously. So that was a big drawback, because every time you want to use the camera, as weird as this camera is, it shoots really smooth footage, but you gotta be like 100% certain that you're locked onto your target, because only then is it really, really smooth. It's just kind of weird. Not to mention, they have like I'm using this in like a selfie mode right now, but it doesn't lock onto my face. So like the newer Osmo Pockets, they have like facial recognition. So when you flip over to like selfie mode, it'll focus on your face and it'll lock on your face. And then if you move and all that stuff, it will track you. But this one obviously doesn't do that. So I didn't like that part of it either. So like, why would you have the camera flip if like the minimum focus distance is barely my arm's length? On top of that, it doesn't want to stay on my face. It's just kind of odd. So when it flips around, all the controls on this joystick on the camera are all reversed. So if you ever get off track, like over here, and I try to get you back, it's just really difficult to do. So anywho, let's go over some of the specs here. I'll flip you around and see. This is what I'm looking at my iPad for. It's my viewfinder. Oh, look how busted up that is. 4K 30, 4K 24, and 4K 24 at a higher resolution. So you got 4096 by 2160, or you can do 3840 by 2160. Pick your poison there. 2.7K 30 and 24, and then you got 1080p 60, 48, 30, and 24 frames. And then you have 1080p slow-mo. They don't really tell you how many frames it is, but since they have a 60 frames, I'm guessing the slow-mo is probably 120 slow-mo. So I'm gonna shoot some slow-mo of the chickens, some epic slow-mo chicken footage. I'm gonna do a shake test. I'm gonna run across the field and I'm gonna see just how stable it is. We'll see how stable it is. Hopefully I don't lose my mic. Oh man. So, oh God, oh. Microphone's bouncing everywhere. I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna point it out and run this way, see how steady it is this way. All right, here we go. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Okay. Whew. All right, tornado damage. Y'all wanna see some tornado damage? All right, while I show you that, I can talk about one of the selling points back in the day that they had for this camera. It was optical zoom. I think it was like 3x optical zoom. So I'm gonna flip you around here and zoom to the tree line. So if I zoom in, optical zoom, and it'll autofocus. Oh man, jumpy. So you see all those trees down? That whole line, right? And that's just the back left corner, okay? If I bring you over this way, this is the right side of the property. And see how it's just kind of clearish, tree here and there. That whole line was full of trees. Touched down on the property back about, I don't know, a mile behind our property, and then carved straight through the property 5 miles the other way. Knocked down all those trees in the back. This tree right here in the center of the property, which I've flown around with the drone. I've seen, you know, I've had it in some of my videos. About 300-ish year old tree, probably the oldest tree on the property, just busted right in half, and it's just laying there. Play set, I don't know if y'all can see that. Play set, that's the bottom half of it and a whole pile of rubble, and it literally just toppled that thing over and rolled it down the hill. I started dismantling it because we got a new one. So I'm gonna go up front. There's one more tornado damagey thing I want y'all to see because it's kind of crazy. But this camera, like I said, it's about, I don't know. I tried to look it up online. My brother-in-law tried to help me, tried to do some research. It's basically, this camera's anywhere from like 7 to 10 years old. I can't remember the year I got it, but I got it as like it was like probably my main shooter at the time. It didn't have a mirrorless or a DSLR I was using. And I just got it as like a fun camera to shoot footage and have it be super, super smooth. And that's the main selling point behind this camera, was the fact that it's got a mechanical gimbal on it all the time. So you should be able to get super smooth, steady footage all the time. Problem is, it's just between the type of camera it is and the user a bit, like the usability of it, it's just the overall, I found myself not wanting to use it, or every time I had to use it, it was just kind of a pain in the butt. This right here, that is a camper that was parked on the side of the property, and it literally ripped right off the frame. Right off the frame. So if I bring you guys closer, oh, that was kind of a cool effect. That right there is the frame that it used to sit on. Just completely ripped it right off the frame. So there's the frame, and there's the trailer. Pretty insane stuff. And then down the driveway, there was just a whole bunch of pine trees that came down, that power line and all that stuff. We lost power that night, and just a whole bunch of crazy stuff. I don't know what else to tell you other than maybe some more specs and short little rant on why I really don't like this camera. So let's cut to that. All right, just a couple things before I start ragging on this camera too hard. Just a couple of physical attributes, obviously. So it's got like this little attachment here I'll cut to that you can put your phone on, so it's like a phone holder thing. And then I mean, you could get all sorts of attachments for it. Like, you know how DJI is. Everything they have, you can get all sorts of stuff they want you to buy from them. So I ended up buying this. I got this, and then I got Rode Video Micro, and then I got like a tripod thing for this, and the whole setup. And so, yeah, it was kind of cool. Like I said before, this is the Zenmuse X3 Zoom is what they call it. And then they had other cameras, and I honestly don't know if they still sell this form factor. If they do, I'll cut to like a website thing on their site that shows where you can get these. But these cameras on the top are completely detachable. So right there, you can see there's like a lock and an unlock, and you just slide this over to this unlock position, and this thing comes right off, and you can just swap out the camera. Now hopefully I can put this back on. Oh lordy. Okay. Camera on, baby. Now it's locked back in. All right, so yeah, so then you could just swap the camera out, and then you could get like a higher quality Zenmuse camera, and I'm sure they've upgraded the cameras by now a million times over. But like I said, I've had this camera for like 7 years. Other things physically about it, it's got this little joystick that you guys have seen on DJI stuff everywhere else, photo button, recording button, and then on the back it's got the trigger right here where you can double press it to recenter and triple press it to go in selfie mode. Same thing as like the Osmo Pocket and all their other type of Osmo-y stuff that DJI does. So the other thing is the gimbal locks on here, because it's mechanical gimbal. Obviously, you got first lock right here. You slide that up, and let's go with this axis, and then you just untwist it, and that releases that. So then when you go to obviously relock it, you slide the button down, get into position, and now it's locked. You put it in your case, you're good to go. They made ND filters for it and all this stuff. Some of the things that really annoyed me about this camera, number one is the actual quality out of the camera. I know that, so like when I watched the ad before the camera back in the day, they were like, this is the same camera that's on the Inspire, blah, 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 and show all this cool footage of like chasing cars and the Hollywood scenes and all this stuff. But then you get it and you're just like, meh, it doesn't look that great. There's just something to be said about like an actual camera. You know what I mean? Like a real camera with a real body, a real lens. Just the quality that you get out of it versus something that's all one package like this. Whether it's this or something smaller or bigger, you always get better quality out of something that's an actual camera. And not to be like mean to this thing, it's cool so they advertise it as like an action camera, which I really wouldn't say that because I'd be worried about this thing like tumbling and dropping. But I think they said that just because it's a mechanical gimbal and you should be able to take it places that's bumpy and all this stuff and get really smooth footage. And yes, that's true, but it has to be like perfect conditions, just like a GoPro. It has to be like the sun's got to be up at like high noon and freaking like all this other crap. It's got to be perfect conditions, nice and clear. And even in some cases where you had like an overcast day where you'd have like nice even lighting, this thing still gets grainy because it can't handle low light at all. So that was a big drawback for me. The other thing is, like I mentioned earlier, you can't really use the camera without using it with some sort of monitoring system, your phone or an iPad or something like that. You can use it, you can record with it. It's just, you don't ever know if you're gonna get the shot because it's really hard, as squirrely as this thing is, because it's always trying to smooth out your motion. It's always kind of darting off in a weird direction like that. And it makes you nervous because if you're trying to shoot something, you wanna make sure that you got the shot. So that was annoying. General usability, it's not really like a main shooter type of thing. This is like you really need a gimbal for some reason. You're doing like a walking, talking shot. You're doing like a walk along with some, like, I don't know. But you're doing some sort of moving shot where you need something in frame and you need it smooth. It's not like a main shooter. And it doesn't really shoot high enough quality to even get like a super nice quality shot out of it. It's got cool settings on it, shoots 4K, shoots slow-mo 120, you know, like full HD and 60 frames, so you have some options. But like I said, this is not gonna be your main shooter. It's gonna be the camera that you pull out for a specific shot because you need something really smooth. And that's really only if you don't have some sort of steady, like some sort of way to stabilize your footage out of your main camera. Because the quality out of this is not that great. It does have color profiles, like their normal DJI profiles. It's got D-log, you know, like a log profile. The problem is it doesn't shoot enough, like a high enough bit rate with enough information to actually do something with that. So don't expect, like, you know what I mean? Like that was the other frustrating thing about this. Like, oh, great, it's got D-log. Okay, well, it still doesn't have enough information to actually grade it. So what's the point? And maybe I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong, toss in the comments down below. Maybe you're a big fan of this, or maybe when you had this camera and you were a big fan of it. But I think it was like $600 back in the day, if I remember right. $600 or $700. And it just, to me, it wasn't worth the money. I should have done a video on it a long time ago, but I didn't. But it is, I mean, for what it is, it's cool. You whip it out, it's one of those cameras that are like, man, people are like, that's really cool. Shoots smooth footage, but again, it's not very user-friendly. And at the end of the day, for as much as you gotta wrestle with this thing to get your shot, it doesn't, the quality's not there. That's what I'm trying to say. So, all in all, I had the camera, you know, it's kind of a funny little video. I wanted to shoot a video showing you guys some of the tornado stuff anyway. So, a funny little video, but what do you guys think? Are you a fan? What do you guys think? What do you guys think about the footage that I shot with it? Was it trash? Do you guys want to see me do like an all-day vlog with this camera? Because I'll definitely do it. If you do like the video, drop a comment below. Just tell me that you want me to do that. I'll totally do that. And that'd be really fun. But yeah, what do you guys think about the camera? Are you really a big fan of these? Did you have one? Do you think it's cool still, or would you just throw a gimbal on your normal main shooter? What do you guys think? But that's basically it. I don't know what else to say. Sun's going down and I'm getting cold, so if you guys like the video, please shoot a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Yeah.